This one is just, quite often you might see people who really can't hear the music yet, or they haven't spent enough time listening to the music, which is probably the key there. Just listen to a lot of swing music, especially if you're trying to improve your rhythm. And swing music, like big, hard swinging music, like stuff that was on back in the day, I found really improved my dancing just by hearing the music that it evolved to. I'm not saying you only have to dance to that by any stretch, but it's helpful in the beginning stages. When I'm watching someone, the biggest culprit tends to be people starting on 2 or 4 or 6. So even if you want to go, have I got my thing down, just check which beat you're starting on. I'm not saying you have to start on 1, just start on an odd beat, because then it lives with that flow of the music. If I'm dancing with someone as a lead, I can do my best to kind of assist with that body movement, try and get someone moving with me. As a follower, I'm not a good enough follower to comment on that, to be perfectly honest. I'm sure Kat's got a lot of suggestions for those kind of things. But I think, I mean, it all comes back to listening to the music. To me, when I was learning, I lived a couple of hours out of town, or an hour and a half out of town, but I was driving in every day to take swing classes. And so I'd just have a CD on, show my age now, having a CD on in the car, which was always, music. It started out with neo swing, and then I kind of, evolved a little bit into big band stuff. And then that really started to feed my musical brain and really dictates the wrong word. What's the word I'm looking for? Help me with finding that timing and that rhythm. And I think, trying to tell someone how to work out if they've got it or not without external influence. Yeah, I don't know. I wish they would ask more questions about music. I think the music's super important. I mean, on one hand, musicality as a term, I guess, is one thing I've always struggled with to communicate, because I grew up playing music. So I'll be the first one to say to sometimes explain what goes through me when I'm dancing to a band, and trying to impart that can be more difficult than, say, if I took maybe a classroom music approach with, a 4/4, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I really wish people would ask more. I think the hardest thing about music is it can be it's not as tangible as physical movement. Like, I asked my partner to go here, they react to this by doing that. There, we end up there on 7, boom. Like, that's easy to teach, it's easy to learn. Once you start getting into more musical and conceptual classes that don't have as much of a tangible or very obvious outcome, then that's when it can start being difficult for students to ask the questions, but also maybe teachers to teach the material. And also, perhaps you get a super strong feeling of accomplishment, I think, when you've gone, cool, I've done this thing, goodbye. Rather than, I really feel that better now, which is what we actually would prefer. I'd prefer that. But sometimes in classes that can be difficult for students to receive, because it's not you don't have that thing to take away unless that penny's really dropped. And obviously, as teachers, I think we're all waiting for that penny to drop, and we just want to help get that penny to your brain. But it's not the easiest of things.